since it's another day. Billions will kneel and pray. Anything to aid escape from the world so cold and gray.
It's been a long time. Shouldn't have left you without a dope beat to step to, boy.
And we're back with another episode of Bones and Tubs. We're here.
Goddamn, 12 years later.
With you today. It seems like it's been forever. We apologize.
Yeah.
To the first annual, or not annual, I guess it's biannual.
Yeah.
It's been 99 episodes.
Biannual, yeah. Double nines.
So we're back. This is episode 99. Today's going to be a clip show for all y'all. There's a glimpse back into the Bones and Tubs past, from our humble beginnings to our 99th time in front of the microphone. But before we get started with these clips, let's go ahead and
Clean some house.
Clean some house real quick.
Probably going to switch to Podbean.
Yeah, hey everybody. Me and Bones decided that our time at Squarespace is near its end.
Yeah.
And
they've been laying us on our side and fucking us.
Hey, you know,
that one way dry.
I don't want to hate on them too much because they've given us what we needed for a while now, but we're going to be going over to Podbean here soon. And it's not going to change much. All you're really going to have to do, probably, you might have to resubscribe to the podcast on whatever podcatcher you're on, because it will change our RSS feed. We will no longer have the Bones and Tubs website per se, but we will definitively be giving you the new website as soon as we get it.
Yeah.
So that you may start listening to us again on a regular basis.
Yeah. We're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
Nature or whatever it was tried to kill us.
Oh,
for like the last 3 weeks.
It tried to murder both of us and tried to, it went after our families.
Yeah. Babysitters, families.
You know? Like, fuck. So,
I think I got the stomach bug. I was walking through Kroger one night to get stuff after work, and there was human shit on the floor. And there's just an old lady like walking. Watch where you're going. She's putting down paper towels. I'm like, that's not the right way to do that.
Yeah. So also want to thank y'all Patreon contributors. Hopefully we're gonna get some new audio equipment here soon. The more money we save for our new equipment is gonna be fucking sweet.
Yeah.
Which if you haven't joined the nation already, go on over to Patreon. Start with $1 a month. Join the nation. Help us achieve our dream of better equipment and separation from the government.
So many people asked where we'd been, and I realized that this isn't like our full-time gig, so it's kind of hard. Like, we squeeze the time in where we can, and if we get fucked with, we just can't do it. But if more people went to patreon.com/Bones and Tubs, we would have
no choice in the matter.
Right, we would have more than enough time, regardless of butt flu or whatever was going on.
You would be holding our hands to the proverbial stove with your money.
I would do vlogs of me doing the exorcist thing in the bathroom, you know?
Yeah.
Not the crucifix thing.
There is one more thing I want to blame for our absence.
What's that?
We both know what it is.
Oh, yeah.
Take Me Home, Country Roads.
I don't really know. That doesn't play a direct role in any of that.
I feel like, though, in a way, it has definitely, it has diverted at least partially our attention away from the good work.
I mean, I just haven't literally had time.
Yeah.
I've got
Oh, yeah, I'll give you that.
It's not like we're like, well, we could, but let's play Fallout.
But I feel like the part of me that should have been nagging me to do an episode might have been semi-distracted by Fallout 76.
I get it. I hate that fucking game. I hate it so much. I love it.
You want to check us out on there? You could add us as friends and go around with Bones and Tubs.
We started putting I got a couple pictures still to upload to Instagram.
Do some events with us or become part of our team.
Hang out with us to where a bug's happening. You can't see us anymore, and we're still on the same team.
Yeah, I go by Tubbs Podcaster, and he goes by Bones and Tubbs Podcast, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're easy to find.
Getting the name out there, too. Come on.
Yeah. So,
spreading it to all those Korean kids.
I say without further ado, let's start the clip show.
Okay.
The first thing we want to start with, it kind of was something we did in the beginning, and I kind of miss it a little bit, but at the same time, I feel like we've got, the tune of the podcast changed, so I felt like what we did back then necessarily wasn't as, in tune with what we do now. One of the first things we did in the first big string of episodes was a lot of them we had different strange sponsors.
Yeah.
That were hilarious. And that's the first clip I wanted to play, was just those commercials for you real quick. I hope you enjoy them.
Insert commercials.
Oh, this darn thing. I have to get bleach.
Morning, honey. The dang water here's on the fritz again. Had to take another cold shower. What you doing scrubbing the floor at this time of morning, honey?
Oh, the walls are bleeding again. I just don't know what to do about it.
Now what in the blazes was that?
Oh, that was Johnny. I think he's gonna have to stay home sick. He can't get anything down. He just keeps vomiting green slime. And besides, last night I caught him shoving a crucifix up his hiney.
Has this ever happened to you? Broken appliances need fixing? Your loved one inexplicably possessed by some demon? Then call me, Bubba Elroy. I'm the owner and operator of Bubba Elroy's Demonic Exercising and Appliance Repair Service. We'll come on down to your homestead and not only exercise that little bastard, but we'll put him to task keeping one of your expensive appliances working like brand new. Well, how does that work? I'll tell you, idle hands are the devil's playground, and boy howdy do they ever like to stir up some trouble. But with my patented demon conversion therapy, turn that ass-sack-coo into a can help you.
Does that hurt the demon?
No, pretty lady, it don't hurt the demon none.
Who's that? Oh, that's just my assistant, Skeet. He's on the slow side on account he looked into a level 4 demon portal for too long.
Now I can't think right.
But I've stared into the void and know how this world will perish.
Now that's enough of that now, Skeet. You don't want to scare these nice people.
Gee golly, Bubba, I'm sure sorry.
It's okay, Skeet. I know you can't help it. Anyways, folks, if you don't believe me, here's a testimonial from one of our satisfied customers.
Before we called Bubba Elroy, I had to keep dealing with the faulty wiring in our house, and my wife couldn't stop having fantasies of killing our entire family in our sleep. But now she is back to a sewing circle and sleeping soundly, and I haven't had to look at the fuse box since. Not only that, but the new addition to the family helps our daughter with her history homework. Isn't that right, Bellas?
It sure is, Gary. Bubba Elroy gave me a new lock on existence. Before conversion therapy, I only realized the suffering of humanity. But now, I not only know the lucrative trade, I also have gained lifelong friends.
Aww. So call me up. If you have an unholy hellspawn terrorizing your family and or repair and maintenance to your home, now let's see if we can't put this thing on keeping that water heater from acting up. Sounds good to me, Bubba. This looks to be a rascally one. Domine Pate, Espiritus Sancti, you son bitch!
Get him, Bubba!
If evil forces on the rise, call Bubba Elroy to exercise. Warning, does not cover Crown Princes of Hell or Hindu deities.
Hey ladies, are you tired of the same old sex line with the same boring men? Then call us, Commanders-in-Chief. They'll make all your presidential wishes come true. We have all 44 former presidents just waiting for you to call them up. We have featured performers like Abraham Lincoln,
I'll emancipate you from your panties and put my log in your cabin.
Franklin Delano Roosevelt,
The wheelchair's for my third leg.
Gerald Ford,
I'll fall face first into that pussy.
Andrew Jackson.
Your panties will feel like the Trail of Tears after you feel my old hickory.
We also have something for you guys out there like Richard Nixon,
I'll suck a cock.
William Howard Taft,
Can you fit inside my bathtub?
Theodore Roosevelt,
I've got something the size of a bull moose for you.
and Grover Cleveland.
What the fuck am I doing here? I'm not like that.
Looking for something contemporary? Have a more modern taste? Then how about George W. Bush?
I'll make you go nuclear with my organ of mass erection.
Or maybe Slick Willie himself.
A cigar. You don't know the meaning of the word pain.
And introducing for the first time number 44 himself, Barack Obama.
Now, let me be clear. I hope you'll have to change your panties.
So call them up. Commanders-in-Chief is eagerly waiting to veto your clothes and send their jets of steaming hot executive action all over your body of politics. Just tell them, George.
We'll make you come every time. And you know I can't tell a lie.
Ed,
Why are you slowing down?
Oh, Martha, you forgot your glasses again. It's one of them damn kaijus up ahead, blocking traffic.
Oh my. Ed, you better just stop until it passes. Our agent called the other day and he said that they no longer cover kaiju damage.
Oh, shit!
Has this ever happened to you? 1 minute you're enjoying a ride with your loved ones, and then kaiju attack. Hello, I am Ben Adams Foyer, or BA for short. I also happen to be the spokesperson for Kaiju Mutual. Kaiju Mutual is the only insurance company that deals exclusively in protecting you and your loved ones from those slimy bastards, where other insurance companies will only cover certain types of kaiju attacks, like scheming little dwarfs they are. Kaiju Mutual offers coverage of all types of kaiju attack, ranging from but not limited to property damage or being a prisoner in your own body. My legs are useless, and I have not had an erection in 3 years. They also cover multi-tentacled sea monsters, subterranean burrowing ones, and winged creeps that steal your children while you sleep. Are you going to let some low-life, nuclear-powered scum-sucker do that to you without having some peace of mind? What kind of bottom-dwelling, trash-eating motherfucker are you?
Okay, that's enough.
Oh, sorry, sometimes I get carried away in my chair or otherwise. I just love you all so much and would hate to see anything happen to you or your loved ones, so call them up. They'll set you up with the best package, so that you can protect those you care about and your stuff. Boom.
Oh, it's that kaiju again. We'll be late for Timmy's party.
It'll be alright, honey. Be aware. Got me a plan that covers us in the untimely event of our deaths or destruction of our property through Kaiju Mutual.
God bless Kaiju Mutual, and God bless Be Aware.
Huh, you could say that again.
Kaiju Mutual. Kaiju Mutual does not cover rifts and or tears in the time-space continuum. How about that new burger joint?
Nah, I heard they put rat meat in the burgers.
Let's do pizza.
Oh no, tomato sauce gives me the squirts.
Well, how about chicken wings?
Ooh, that sounds good with fried potatoes to go with it.
Oh, honey, it makes me self-conscious to be around those bouncy young women with their giant fake breasts.
That's okay. We're not going to that place. Their food sucks anyways. I just heard about a place that's more for our progressive family.
Oh yeah? What's that, honey?
It's called Titters and Tots.
Titters and Tots, a new family chicken wing restaurant that features real women with real boobs. If you like boobs and we got the boobs for you, we've got boobs. Little boobs, long boobs, short boobs, square boobs, round boobs, saggy boobs. With all nipple types, brown, pink, red, even hairy. Stevie Wonder nipples. For the ladies, we've got moobs.
Moobs?
Man boobs, lady. Get with the picture. We don't tout our new age progressive values for nothing.
Okay, but is the food any good?
Of course it is, stupid. Our pounded chicken tenders recipe paired with Jeff Webb's world-renowned barbecue sauce.
Remember, here at Got Blood Outdoors, we've got a barbecue sauce for everything. Boobacue sauce, lactatingly delicious. You got blood?
Make everyone's crotches moist.
Well, I'm sold.
Well, it's settled. Let's go to Titters and Tots.
Yay! And don't forget about Saggy Saturday, where you get to cope with one free meal from everyone's favorite Twitter's waitresses, Mama Mitzi.
You can have more than one fill if you want, honey.
Titters and Tots!
Titters and Tots, located on the corner of Manage Road and Memory Lane.
This one, I'm not exactly sure where it's at in the episode, but we'll find it and it'll be in here shortly. It's a dream that I had that really took off amongst most of you of the Bones and Tubs Nation out there. So I just wanted to put that in here, and if there's any before or after of it that I think needs to go in, I'll put that in there too. But here's the dream of the drunken sailor. Can I talk about my dream real quick?
Yeah,
and then
go ahead.
Go straight into it.
Let's do it.
I had the craziest fucking dream last night. Now, this was responsible from not a sponsor, Alpha Brain.
Yeah.
And nicotine.
Oh, good.
Because I like to ride a little crazy with the nicotine in my mouth while I sleep, because it's also a nootropic.
Yeah.
But the detail in this dream was crazy, right? So I've got this like third-person view of it all. It's all playing out in front of me. Mm-hmm. There's some sort of a guy. I don't really know what to call him. Really, he's like I knew that he was a maker of pots. Mm-hmm. He was like a potter.
Yeah.
Okay. And he was heading out to work or something like that. He was in a rush, kind of like the rabbit from Alice in Wonderland.
Yeah.
You know, I'm late. I'm late. I'm late. I'm late. I'm late. Mm-hmm. He's going out to work early in the morning before the sun had fully risen. And then from the side of his house, there comes like a drunken, I don't know if he was like a ship captain or if he was like just a sailor, you know?
Yeah.
But he was fucking hammer drunk. And he comes at him and he's only wearing like a ship captain shirt, like the guy on the cereal box.
Yeah.
With that delicious razor blade cereal we all eat. Captain Crunch.
Captain?
Yeah,
You're
Captain.
talking about the captain.
And he's fucking hammer drunk. Peg leg and all that, you know, running around the side of the house with like a bit of wood, like almost like a bat.
Yeah.
And he's got on a pair of crusty boxer shorts and that captain shirt, and that's it. And the boxer shorts, the dick hole's turned around, it's in the back. I don't know if that's by choice or whatever. But he's just speaking incoherently at the Potter. I'm not sure why. Tried to attack him. The Potter basically just called him a bitch.
Yeah.
And he retreated.
Huh.
But then I woke up. Yeah.
It's a strange dream.
Yeah. What do you make of that? Is there any sort of, like, you know, we just talked not too long ago privately about the field of dead butterflies. One of us had a dream about that, and then one of our listeners sent us a picture about it, meaning that we don't see any innocence left in the world. You know?
Well, I mean, yeah, that's true.
What do you think this dream symbolizes?
Man, I don't even know. Drunk captains, Potters, late for very important things.
Yeah.
No time to say hello, goodbye. I'm late.
I need to. You mean I need to lay off the nootropics, or does it mean I need
don't even know.
Go deeper?
Anybody out there listening that's, you know, a
dream expert
would want to touch this one, because I don't know what the Potter symbolizes in a dream.
Is there a name for that? I can't think. I know like the shoemakers were like cobblers.
The only thing, you want my rendition? You want my thought on it?
Hey, absolutely.
I think it's a personal duality thing.
Okay.
Okay. I think the Potter and the Captain are both renditions of yourself. Right.
Yeah.
The Potter being the one who makes things that people need, or like you put a lot of care, right? Mm-hmm. And you do things like in a good way, right? You do a good thing, right? You're not destroying, you're creating, right?
Okay, yeah.
But then there's the other aspect, the destroyer,
the one that needs to, like, if like the old bones, right?
The drunken sea captain with his underwear on backwards.
Okay, yeah, that would have been me if I decided that I'd just never put the bottle down.
Yeah, you know, because think about it. A Potter is somebody who works on the land.
Yeah.
A place that's stable, and they create things, right?
Right.
Everything about that is the stable, care, thoughtful individual. Then you look at the drunken sea captain. Because I'm not saying sailor. He's a sea captain.
Okay. I didn't know.
He works he plies his trade on the ocean, which is known for its chaos.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
And he's also drunk, which adds an extra level of chaos.
Sloppy drunk.
Yeah, which adds extra level of chaos to the chaos that's already ensuing on the ocean.
Right.
So I would say that I think both of those characters were you in different respects, right? Now, the only other aspect I could think of is that your Potter was late. You said he was nervous and late, right?
Maybe he was late, or maybe he just liked being really early, and he was almost late to being early, if that makes sense.
That's true.
That's how I feel about work a lot of times.
Yeah, and obviously, with the duality of almost everything, they play against each other, so the captain doesn't like the Potter.
Yeah.
You know?
That's good.
So that's my interpretation of it. You know what I mean?
You should get a Fiverr account, and people would, like, write their dreams to you.
Yeah.
For $5 a job, and then obviously you'd have more.
I videotape myself like divining it, like I have my little pile of paper clips. Yeah. I just like, but
I must consult the clips.
Yeah, so that would be my interpretation of the dream.
Man, that's really good.
And it's just I think the lateness could be okay. I got it. The lateness is your anxiety about not being the sea captain. Does that make sense?
Nobody should want to be that kind of guy.
Yeah. I think that's what because being late for something raises your anxiety, right?
Oh yeah.
So your Potter is anxious. That means that the careful version of yourself is anxious. They don't want the sea captain to take over.
He's just trying to live his life.
Exactly.
Free and beautiful.
That's what I take from the dream.
That's good.
Like I said, though,
you gave me a lot of peace.
I'm no Carl Jung, but that's what I see. That's what my mind's eye sees when I think of something like that.
Fucking third eye's all the way open.
Yeah. Well, you know. This clip comes from one of our episodes we did with the doctor, Dr. Doug Hurdy, not a doctor. It's from our Austin bombing Ted Kaczynski episode. It's just a clip we did of a conversation we had about, the machinations of Ted Kaczynski and how he necessarily wasn't the villain that some would paint him to be. So, boys, what do you think?
Well,
Let's do it.
It makes a lot of sense if you read it.
And the
really
thing
only
is,
one
you're not
thing.
alone in that thought. Most scholars have read this and thought, this is not the work of a fucking madman. This
That's
is the
why
work of a goddamn genius.
I'm excited to share the link to the
Washington Post article.
Well, I'm gonna share both, but I think most people probably just hit YouTube because they'd rather listen to it.
Oh, yeah. They should definitely read it.
Read it, listen to it, consume it, because
It's very interesting.
you will be shocked about how much of this that you hear, and you're like,
especially today, especially in modern society.
Right. He predicted, basically, he was just writing out what was going to happen. He wasn't trying to be like a Nostradamus or that type of cat. He
really hated the left.
But he did predict the future, I feel
He
like.
condemned the conservatives as well.
He condemned the conservatives as well, but most of the essay is condemning leftists.
Yeah, because, well, if you read it,
By
understand
leftist,
what he's
he doesn't
condemning about
necessarily
it.
mean like leftist, as in like he doesn't condemn liberals. He condemns the leftist mindset. And by the leftist mindset, he means people who basically want to have control of all society and want to create rules and laws.
Basically says that they have absolutely nothing going on in their own lives, right?
Right.
And that they are so...
Can I see that real quick?
They're so low and they hate themselves. What did you say? That the commonality with all leftists is self-hatred.
Yeah, he says that...
they can't
he breaks
see
it down
themselves.
into...
Feelings of inferiority.
Exactly.
Right.
That's where all leftism sends to as he feels it. You guys keep talking. I'm going to find a passage real quick that I liked.
Well, there's a ton of them in there, so good luck with that.
Yeah. Try to find just
he
one.
He had a lot of hatred towards the leftist, not necessarily the left, but leftist. His big thing was that he writes about in the essay is about the way the human psyche works, and he's got a huge passage in there about this thing he calls the power play, where we all have this idea where we want to be in control of our own lives and what have you, and leftists are taking that power away from us.
Well, that and the industrial society itself.
He blames the industrial society for it.
Completely robs us of all
This
of
is-
our autonomy.
This is what I wanted to look at. It was paragraph 11, subtitle, Feelings of Inferiority. When someone interprets as derogatory almost anything that is said about him or about groups with whom he identifies, we conclude that he has inferiority feelings or low self-esteem. This tendency is pronounced among minority rights advocates, whether or not they belong to the minority groups whose rights they defend. They are hypersensitive about the words used to designate minorities. The term Negro, Oriental, handicap, or chick for an African, an Asian, a disabled person, or a woman originally had no derogatory connotation. Broad and chick were merely the feminine equivalents of guy and dude or fellow.
Right, but keep going because it says in there that all the derogatory sense was brought about by the activists themselves.
Yeah,
they're the ones that made him derogatory.
Oh, yeah, it's the next line.
Yeah.
That's why I knew I was onto something.
Yeah.
The negative connotations have been
read this
attached
4
to these
times,
terms by the activists themselves.
You're learning to make bombs.
Some animal rights advocates have gone as far as to reject the word pet and insist on its replacement by animal companion. Leftist anthropologists go to great lengths to avoid saying anything about the primitive peoples that could conceivably be interpreted as negative. They want to replace the word primitive by non-literate.
They're basically just trying to join groups, or not say join groups, but champion groups.
But he blames it all on the power process, though, because he says they're doing this in order to gain power and control in their own lives because they have none.
They hate themselves
because of the industrial society,
and they feel weak.
Oh, okay,
Right.
I got. Okay, this is the line I was actually looking for in all reality. Those who are most sensitive about politically incorrect terminology are not the average black ghetto dweller, Asian immigrant, abused woman, or disabled person, but a minority of activists, many of whom do not even belong to any oppressed group, but come from privileged strata of society.
It comes. It echoes up today's society where
Oh,
they
for
say
sure.
that voter ID laws are racist. Well, that in itself is racist as fuck because you're saying that blacks and minorities aren't smart enough or capable enough to go get an ID.
Well, that's the underlying thing.
That's the most racist shit in the fucking world.
They believe and promulgate all of the racist ideas themselves, and then they want to impose their guilt on someone else or another group of people in order to feel powerful.
Right.
It's fucking crazy.
Yeah. But yeah. And just to say this, just before we go any further, because I feel like we haven't really said it, but you kind of have to say it. I like his ideas.
Yeah.
I like him to the point where I think he was completely and utterly onto something.
Right.
And the unfortunate part about the entire thing is that
he took it a little too far.
He felt in his mind that the only way he was going to get the attention he needed to get this message out there was to bomb people.
Now, there's two ways that I want to look at this real quick. One way is that he went about it the wrong way. True. Right?
Yeah.
He went about it the wrong way. But, and this is speaking from 2018, which is the future, where you can't get anybody to look up from their Farmville or whatever it is they're fucking around with. Bejeweled, some nonsense on their phone.
Bubble Bit Saga.
Right. I mean, they're staring at their phones. It's harder now. So that's what I was kind of thinking about with this Texas bombing thing.
I was hoping it'd be something similar.
Maybe it's somebody that's trying to break somebody out of their sleep by bombing random people to get their message out. No, it was just some fucking piece of shit.
Some crazy.
Or
for as far as we know.
But would it made
patsy,
it? But at the end of the day, when it comes to the bombing, would it made it any better that he had a message? Because is that the unfortunate thing that some people think that they have to go as far as to kill people and bomb people to get a message across?
If he had never bombed anybody, I wouldn't have had this writing in my possession, though.
Right.
No one would have known about it.
I mean, but that's unfortunate. It shouldn't be. That should be something like in all reality. In a fucking mirror world, in a parallel universe, there is a celebrated.
Don't tell me they didn't read this shit. You know they read it and they were like, we can't let this shit get out.
But there is a celebrated.
Don't fucking publish it.
Somebody published a letter that he wrote because I guess he does correspondence from prison because he's still alive.
Yeah,
but he said that the government changed his manifesto, and for an actual copy, just write him and he'll send you one.
I heard that too. We should write him. The Buns and Tub should write him.
Well, you're right.
Yeah. So
I want an actual copy. Didn't he write books too?
He wrote, his what he considers
a lot of time in prison.
His magnum opus.
Oh, yeah.
Let me pull up the title of it. I actually probably would intend on buying it eventually.
He got 8 consecutive life sentences or something like that.
I'm still stuck in.
What if he has 8 heart attacks and dies 8 times? Will they let him out? Is that? I mean, come on. They release fucking child molesters with 130 life sentences consecutive on technicalities.
That's fine
because we don't give a fuck about people that rape kids.
Right.
But fuck anybody that's trying to challenge the system.
Have you guys got to the part in the book, or in the essay rather, where he talks about how to fix the problem?
Yeah.
He has a solution.
It can't be fixed by
His solution
reform.
is it can't be fixed.
Well, it can't be fixed by reform. It can be fixed by revolution.
Right. But he says that what will basically happen, the only way to fix the issue is that society will collapse.
Yeah, it's just
based on these ideas. This is a matter of time.
He said
when
it's better
society
that it happens sooner than later.
Right. He says after society collapses over a period of time, people will forget how to make refrigerators or how to do this or how to do these modern technological things that we love and cherish today.
And even if they remembered, where are they going to get Freon?
Right. And that's how the reform will happen.
Technological slavery. That was his. That's what he considers his magnum opus. That's his great work.
The only thing that I have trouble understanding, I understand what he means because we are slaves to the system, technologically, or even, you completely leave out the authoritarian government that we're dealing with, regardless of left or right, whoever's in power.
Well,
this is
when he talks about leftists, he talks about conservatives and liberals.
Right. The technological problem, though, is apolitical. It doesn't have a politics.
Right.
It's just the fact that we're giving up our autonomy and our ability for technology, for ease.
And I think one of the best allegorical things, like in the show Manhunt, the thing that I think wraps it all together is the main FBI investigator who kind of in the show goes off the rails because he's trying to find him and he's learning more about him and stuff like that. And he kind of agrees with him to an extent. He's talking to the Unabomber and he's saying, I was at a stoplight the other night. There was no traffic. I was the only one out there. And I sat there and looked at the red light. Nobody around. Why was I stopped?
Right.
Why was I stopped at this light?
Because the system said so.
Exactly.
And
there's nobody around. There's nobody even around to enforce the law. He's by himself.
But he's still doing it because he's not autonomous.
Right.
You might think you're autonomous.
What does he say? Does anybody remember the quote about what it requires to hold a job?
Obedience.
Yeah, obedience and a mild amount of intelligence.
Yeah, a mild amount of intelligence and obedience. That's all you need to hold a job.
Basically, in order to, the technological society in itself gives us these jobs.
If you don't hold a job, then you're a piece of shit.
You can't buy the newest
society's
TV
eyes
or the newest phone.
But the way he's looking at it is another perspective where he's like, if you're not holding a job, it's because you're not being obedient to society, and that doesn't necessarily make you a bad person.
No, for sure. But
because you're trying to be autonomous on your own and not towards society.
To have a job is to give up your autonomy to buy baubles
and trinkets.
Largely.
Yeah, largely.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely is on something.
And this one, I actually asked a few people what their favorite episode was. Ones that have been with us since the jump. And they all said they wanted us to put some stuff in from Saturn.
Ooh.
So I'm going to put in from episode 90, what's going on with Saturn is truly disturbing. There'll be another good break for the listeners out there to go check out Cymatics on YouTube. They've got some pretty crazy pictures where it's like a glass pane that they put on top of a speaker or a subwoofer, and then they play a tone or a sound, and then pour sand on top of the glass pane, and it makes a shape.
Yeah.
Well, I'll also insert the sound right now of Saturn. It's in this David Icke video.
Yeah.
And this is a sound that they recorded in space from Saturn. We both listened to this. He went into like a mini seizure.
Yeah, if you're driving, I advise, because I had some sort of weird phenomenon happen when I listened to it the first time, and it fucked me up. If you're driving, I would suggest pulling over for a moment. I don't want anybody to get hurt.
Also take the laces out of your shoes. It just seems safe.
Yeah.
So here's that sound recorded from Saturn in space.
When the Cassini spacecraft arrived at Saturn in 2004, found many things that was unexplainable. Things like the hexagon North Pole storm and stuff like that. But they also found extraordinarily powerful sound coming from Saturn. This is part of what they recorded. Nice, man.
So now that you got done vomiting whatever you had for lunch, that's cymatics. Well, if you play that sound through this cymatics process, it makes a hexagon. So the sound that's coming from Saturn is making the shape on the North Pole. And some are saying that the rings of Saturn are created by this sound. Because this hexagon, as they record and listen to the sound, it changes ever so slightly, right?
Yeah.
But the sound and the position of the hexagon changed at the same rate.
Yeah.
And back to that Voyager mission,
Yeah.
It's titled The Ringmakers of Saturn. It's written by Dr. Norman R. Berggren, and he is a NASA scientist, and he saw in those pictures from Voyager that were taken of Saturn these massive cigar-shaped things that looked like they were adding to or taking from the rings.
Yeah.
Hence the title, The Ringmakers of Saturn.
So the notion being the rings aren't natural.
No.
The rings they're either an emanation of the sound itself, whatever it's creating. Now, that sound that you guys heard, some people have gone through and tried to piecemeal because they feel like they heard a message in it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like when I heard it, I don't know, I think it's one of those things, everybody hears something different, right?
Yeah.
It sounded like laughing to me. All I heard was laughing in my head.
That's heavy.
Yeah. But one interpretation was that people got us, there's some sort of signal being pulsed to us from it, right?
Yeah.
And one of the things people interpret as was, you people are urged to drop the earthly impulse.
So is it time, do you think, for me to get into that, the Bones conspiracy?
Yes, I think so.
That's fucked with my head about it?
Yeah.
So this all came about from a video, like I said, that was sent by El Presidente. And it touched on so many things that I had filed away in my mind. Now, I could be completely fucking just off here, but it ties in with the simulation theory. And a lot of these people believe that Saturn, whatever sound is coming out of Saturn, is responsible for either the massive apathy or the prison itself of the Matrix, right? If this was a Matrix.
Yeah.
Okay. That goes back even as far as the Gnostics, with their, talking of the demiurge.
Yeah.
Right? They basically are of the belief that if you compare it to the Old Testament and the New Testament, right? So I have the belief that the Old Testament God and the New Testament God are two separate people.
Yeah.
Or entities. Because trial you might to tell me that they're the same, but there ain't no fucking way. Yeah. You've got this creature in the Old Testament that's walking around the Garden of Eden. He's angry, he's jealous, he's all these things.
That's piecemeal, like destroying civilizations. And
he's all about man's ignorance. He doesn't want Adam and Eve to know about anything. He wants them to just stay ignorant in the garden. Yeah. Enter the snake, and he gives knowledge, and then they're cast out of the garden. Yeah. But anyway, the Gnostics believe that this entity in the Old Testament, referred to as Elohim, which is another Saturnian little head nod. Yeah. El actually stands for Saturn. Yeah. And anyway, Elohim being the demiurge, let's say that the universe is created by the All. Yeah. The ever-present, omniscient, omni-knowing.
We are its, as the Kybalion says, we are its thought.
Yeah. So this All creates everything. And this demiurge comes along and he's like, I am God. I will be the God. I am the greatest being. So he can't create a universe of his own. He just kind of puts a mirror up in front of another mirror and creates our galaxy. Yeah. Inside of everything. And it's an illusion. It's a bastardization of the actual universe. Yeah. And the Gnostics believe that, that's where that jealousy comes from. He hated the fact that we existed because we have the divine spark of the All within each of us. Yeah. We are made in his image, as the book says. And so rather than sit jealously in the corner and not having divine creation or anything like that inside him, he just puts us in a prison. Yeah. And the Gnostic death trap goes on to talk about how, like, when everybody dies, no matter what country you're in, what religion you're from, what time period you're in, everybody had the story of the light. And when you see the light, you see whoever you trusted the most or loved the most in your life, and they're urging you to come to the light, ushering you into the afterlife. Mm-hmm. But that's a trick from the demiurge to get you to go into it, take out all the experiences and all the emotions that you've collected through a lifetime, and use it as energy somehow. Suck that out of us, wipe us clean, and throw us back into the machine. Yeah. Back into this illusion. And these people that are talking about Saturn being the key to the Matrix, they also talk about the moon, which we've talked about I don't even know how many times. Yeah. Like Crow 777, go look up that video of the lunar wave, and that'll show you this is something else. Yeah. Other than what this isn't real. Yeah. Basically. Because the lunar wave shouldn't exist in a real universe. Yeah.
And one of my favorite clips, one of the last ones we're going to do today, it's from episode 71, CIA Part 1, is where we discuss how petty the CIA was in protecting their assets, specifically in Central America, when it came to making sure that the money they invested in those regions was secured, and by basically killing innocent people in order to make it happen. Those anti-freedom motherfuckers.
This is where I started to get my dick wet intellectually. Okay. 1949, Radio Free Europe is created. Are you familiar with that at all?
No, I'm not.
I was not either. Yeah. And this leads into Operation Mockingbird, which gets my nipples wet. Okay. So in 1949, the CIA creates its first major propaganda outlet. Radio Free Europe. Over the next several decades, its broadcasts are so blatantly false that it's considered illegal to publish transcripts of them in the United States. And then in the late 40s, also, we have Operation Mockingbird, I just mentioned. Under Operation Mockingbird, the CIA began recruiting American news agencies and journalists to become spies and disseminators of propaganda. They self-admitted to at least 25 organizations. This fucked me up because I didn't know this. With 400 journalists on their payroll at places like ABC, NBC, CBS, Time Magazine, Newsweek, Associated Press, The Washington Post, United Press International, Reuters, Hearst Newspapers, Scribs and Howard, Copley News Service, and that's just a few, which is interesting. Another little side note, if you pause the show, go to Google and type in Anderson Cooper CIA, you'll find out that he is a CIA asset as well. At the CIA News Network, CNN. Yeah. And then, you want to take over with Iran?
Yeah, okay. So basically, we're jumping to 1951 here. I'm going to break this down for you. The operation was called Operation Ajax. The leader of Iran, Mossadegh, he was getting a raw deal from the British from their oil industry. At the time, Britain had a pretty good control over it, and Mossadegh he just wanted a 50-50 split of the profit so he could put money back into his economy and back into his people, right? To raise them up out of basically poverty. Britain refused. England refused. UK refused. Whatever you want to call it, they refused. So Mossadegh started making threats.
That would have been a good time for Mossadegh to shut the fuck up.
Yeah. Mossadegh started making threats about cutting off the British and selling his oil to the Soviets. Even though Mossadegh was a fervent anti-communist, he still was making those threats. And at first, the UK tried to get the US involved in this. And at the time, Truman was president, and he's like, nah, I'm good. I don't want anything to do with it. Because first of all, Mossadegh wasn't a communist. See, the thing is the whole story about all the things the CIA had done up to this point had to do with anti-communist stuff. Because it's part of the Truman Doctrine. The Truman Doctrine was basically to stem the tide of the scourge of communism throughout the world, right?
Yeah.
So it didn't play into his narrative. So he wasn't on board with it. Now, whether or not Truman was legit and he did really just want to get rid of communists, or he was just scum like the rest, that's up to your interpretation.
Mm-hmm.
But basically, after he left office, Eisenhower took over, and he took an interest in it. So he sent the CIA over to help the UK MI6, which is British intelligence, in beginning the process of deposing Mossadegh. They used a combination of psyops and, like you said before, hiring right-wing extremists, preferably in the military, to overthrow the government, and that's exactly what they did.
Was the Shah part of the military, or was that someone else?
Okay, see, that's the thing. They got the General Zahedi and the Shah together. Like, they had to get them together and agree, like, so we're going to get rid of Mossadegh, you guys take over.
I got you.
Right? So that's exactly what they did. They used a combination of psyops by using media outlets that they had on the payroll in Iran to portray Mossadegh as an unpatriotic and a communist sympathizer. And it worked. People started being disenfranchised and thought Mossadegh really, in fact, was like against his country and da-da-da-da. And then the CIA hired, under the sum about $50,000, rioters to protest and riot around the city of Tehran.
It's weird that we've heard stories about that in the recent news.
Yeah.
Going on here. People hiring, protest. Anyway, sorry.
And then 2 days later, they just walked around the city. 2 days later, they paid them again to march around the palace, like the presidential palace or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mossadegh had to flee. He had to leave. The propaganda worked, and as they portrayed him as a totalitarian dictator, then they deposed him. And they put Zahedi and the Shah in power. And things, as of that point, were back on track for what they wanted, which was to basically exploit the living shit out of the country and take their resources and give them very little money in return. But they did realize, though, that they had to raise the standard of living just a little bit so that people didn't get all fucking, their feathers didn't get ruffled again, more or less. And that's and if you see down the road, there's a lot of fucking shit that makes sense when it comes to Iran and Iran's feelings towards us. Especially, like, if you look at the hostage situation that I think was in 1978, that was direct blowback. It was a CIA, the embassy was more or less just a CIA headquarters. And they fucking threw them out and took hostages. Like, that was the last time we really had any good contact. Well, that was when contact with Iran kind of ceased on a diplomatic level, in a good way. And that was more or less blowback from the people knowing that Zahedi was a fucking tyrant. He arrested fucking all of his fucking all the political dissidents, all sorts of fucking people. He was a terrible fucking leader, and the people knew it.
I also wanted to mention that they were just like every other country for the most part, that they ended up having ties with the CIA because Zahedi and the Shah created a secret police in their country called the Savak, and they were just as ruthless, if not more ruthless, than the Gestapo. And
just a side note, do you want to know how much money it cost in 1953 to
You already know.
overthrow a government?
Yeah.
$7 million.
God damn.
$7 million, that's all it costs.
It's a bargain, really.
Yeah.
I had that down for the same time period as well. And then in 1953, I wrote down a note about them starting MK Ultra.
Yes.
Which is still in play today under various other names. MK Ultra is a good search on Google or YouTube. I would also look up MK Often.
And if you're not convinced, just go on Netflix and look up the show Wormwood.
Yeah, or
that'll give you a nice stepping stone into the arena and see
Stranger Things is another great example.
Yeah, and see what we're talking about here.
Yeah, basically the milquetoast version of MK Ultra, and just one of the things that they did that they admit to, the CIA was drugging water supplies in the United States and drugging just like entire villages or towns or people that they selected just to see what happened when they dosed them with LSD without their knowledge or consent, which led to a wave of suicides. And they also, one of their favorite things to do, and I have to assume that this all came about with their dealings with the Nazis and Operation Paperclip, because they were at the forefront of torture and what it could do. They discovered that some people, when exposed to extreme torture, i.e. removing fingernails or putting bamboo shoots under fingernails, the pain was so intense that it would cause an individual to virtually psychologically pass out, and it would create another person to come deal with the problem.
So basically, you're skewing their actual conscious mind, because it was so traumatic that it required a person to fucking consciously step away,
split their personality.
Yeah, split their personality,
and then they would hypnotize that other personality to coming forward with code words, and then they would train the other personality to be an assassin. So this person could be trained to kill someone, a target, like somebody might just call you tonight. You might not remember that you've been tortured because they hypnotize you to forget it, right?
Yeah.
And you'll get a phone call at 3 a.m. that's like, Blue Mountain, October. And the next thing you know, you wake up in jail or in court, and you don't remember why or what happened. They're saying, you killed all these fucking people.
Basically the Manchurian Candidate.
Manchurian Candidate, or the guy that shot up that movie theater in, what was it? Was it Colorado?
Yeah.
You know, you look at him and he's all doped the fuck up, like, what the fuck happened?
Yeah, and the thing is like, I find it funny that if you've ever watched the original Manchurian Candidate, which the remake kind of changed things a bit, but the original one, it was supposed to be that the communist North Koreans were the ones who were creating a candidate for themselves, i.e. that's why it's called the Manchurian Candidate.
Yeah.
So it's great that you have a piece of film propaganda that places the ideas that the CIA, which is a United States installation, had created as something foreign and communist.
Of course. No problem. Yeah. I found that two of the largest contributors to the research money for MKUltra were none other than the Rockefeller Foundation and the Ford Foundation. Interesting.
Yeah.
But these guys, like I said, they were programmed to do all manner of things. They could be spies that were reporting on people. They could be murderers. And they could either forget or they could kill themselves, which is a common theme with active shooters nowadays. I just want everybody to know that just because this was in 1953 doesn't mean it's not still happening here today. So just keep that in mind. 1954, the CIA overthrows democratically elected Jacob Arbenz in Guatemala.
Oh, man. Okay, let me step in real quick. Okay, so this one, I have this one in my notes too. This is the most bullshit fucking reasoning for this shit I've ever in all my lookings. I had not seen something so fucking crazy as overthrowing a government and creating a coup over fruit.
Right.
A fucking fruit.
They overthrew this guy because he wanted to nationalize United Fruit Company, which was under the control of, I believe, Rockefeller. Yeah, Rockefeller. Interestingly enough, Alan Dulles, the head of the CIA at the time, also owned stock in that company. So they go in there. Arbenz is replaced by a series of bloodthirsty, coccicidal maniacs who killed over 100,000 Guatemalans over the next 4 decades.
Over fruit.
Over fruit.
Okay.
Over money, really.
Oh, but still, it's over the money that's bought from fruit.
I just don't know.
So, like, I'm just trying to wrap my head around that for a second. You said 100,000 Guatemalans died.
Over 40 years, yeah.
Over fruit. So basically Rockefeller went to his dude in the CIA and was like, listen, man, our stocks are kind of right now because, they're talking about nationalizing. You think you can take care of that for us? I mean, I know you got stock in it too.
He's like, wait a minute, I got stock in that. Fuck them.
Yeah. He gets on the phone. Boop, 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 boop. Yeah. Hey, go ahead and do it. You know what I mean? Like, come on, for fuck's sake.
Let's see. 1954 also. 1954 to 1958. Here we get into Vietnam. Yeah. After 4 years of failed attempts to overthrow the communist government of the North Vietnam, the CIA attempts to legitimize a tyrannical puppet regime in the South Vietnam, headed by, I don't fucking know, Ngo Dinh Diem.
I actually practiced this last night. You want to hear it?
Thank God.
Ngo Dinh Diem.
Okay. So there it is. These efforts failed to win the hearts and minds of the South because Diem's regime was opposed to democracy. The CIA's continued failures at a successful regime change leads to a series of false flag attacks and military conflict in the Gulf of Tonkin, which was then used as justification by the United States military and again the American media for Vietnam War, resulting in the deaths of an estimated 1,118,000. Here's a little ditty from episode 92, True Satanism and the Ripper Crew, along with the Narco-Satanists.
I can't say one way or the other, but
I've
I
never
imagine
done cocaine, but
that, like, if I was on, like, I've seen a lot of movies for people on cocaine, and that's not the craziest idea I've seen manifest. From a heavy cocaine binge.
Yeah.
But his followers called him the Godfather. There, I got it right. See, or
nice.
El Padrino, but
Costanzo.
But he led the cult with Sarah Eldrete, and they called her the Godmother, La Madrina. But they did a lot of ritualistic killings, basically all through Mexico, and it didn't really get that much American attention, right? Like it did. Okay, here's the thing: they kind of did their thing for a while, and nobody, like, it was in Mexico, so nobody really, like. I hate saying this because I'm sounding entirely too much like a xenophobe right now, but nobody gave a shit because it was in Mexico.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I mean, that's America for you.
Yeah. But they did start giving a shit when they killed an American student.
Wow. You start fucking with those white people. That's when you start making the news cycle.
I mean, unfortunately, that's just the way things are.
Yeah, we're not we're not here to say it's right or wrong. We're just saying.
Yeah. It's like I can't remember her name, but you remember that college student who got kidnapped in Belize and went missing, and, like, you know, I'm sure there's, like, lots of kidnappings in Belize and the shit happens all the fucking time,
right?
But nobody gave a shit about it because it wasn't a white.
Well, I mean, as much as it hurts your feelings, white people, you know, because it hurts my feelings. I'm white, so I have to assume we have the same feelings, but they have legitimate arguments, people of color, when they're talking, like, even you look at, like, the John Benet Ramseys, right? Or, like, the national stories. Like, how many black kids or Hispanic kids go missing every year and nobody talks about it?
Yeah, and that's the thing. That's a legitimate gripe right there.
I get it.
Yeah.
I understand.
And that's the thing. Like,
Bones and Tubbs are on your side.
And, you know, I'm not going to fucking... I'm not a self-flagellator. You know what I mean?
I'm not going to wear a shirt made of hair, but I'm going to call it like I see it.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, and that's the thing I've always tried to get at is like, I'm not going to self-deprecate just because of, like...
We're so sorry.
Yeah.
No.
I'm so sorry.
We're not sorry.
I think we kind of talked about this on the Christopher Columbus show.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But, so... But that's just the cold hard truth, though. Nobody gave a shit about all this, like, people going missing in Mexico and shit until it was, like, a white American who went missing on a trip to Mexico.
Yeah.
But they lived in a house, like, most of the stuff happened in a house in Rancho Santa Elena. It was in the desert. And, but they would, like, carry out these rituals on rival drug dealers and all sorts of people. And they were getting huge shipments of cocaine and marijuana, by the way.
Yeah, getting that paper.
Like, I can imagine, like, it's just like a dingy, fucking nasty, greasy house.
Yeah.
Fucking human body parts everywhere. Giant mound of coke on the fucking kitchen table right next to a human skull.
Yeah.
With some fucking, like, a pentagram around it and some shit.
Of course.
You know, chickens walking around aimlessly.
They must.
That's the things I see in my head.
Yeah.
But so... On to the white guy.
Yeah.
So in 1989, they kidnapped a white student. Why do I keep saying white? I feel
white.
I feel like I'm flagellating right now.
Yeah, whip yourself.
But he was a pre-med student named Mark Kilroy, outside of a Mexican bar. He was enjoying his spring break.
Not for very long.
And
wrong place, wrong time, Holmes.
They kidnapped him, and they did their rituals, right?
Yeah.
Really, the Mexican police weren't going to do anything about it until fucking U.S. officials were like, they pressed him. Like, listen, dick licker. Listen, one of our precious white med students is missing. We need to... He went missing there. You need to find him right now.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I imagine the conversation going.
Right, exactly. Now, I don't understand. This is another thing that has me curious about the ties to Satanism. But if you look into this Constanzo fella, right, born in Miami, Florida.
Yeah.
He was baptized Catholic. Mm-hmm. Served as an altar boy. So once again, I'm going to blame the Catholics because it all starts in the young.
Hey, and by the way, out there to a new listener, Miss Fulkerson.
Oh,
I don't care. I'll say it.
Hey,
she added us the other day, and she actually her spouse mentioned that she had a feather in her cap for Catholic conspiracy.
Okay.
So shout out to you real quick if you listen to the show.
We've been cooking one up for a really long time, so that's definitely in the pipe.
Mm-hmm.
But I will blame them because he was an altar boy in the Catholic faith. But also, he would accompany his mother on trips when he was younger, and they would go to Haiti to learn about voodoo. Because that's a great fucking idea to get your kid. Like, how many times have you ever thought, like, you know what, Jim's getting about old enough. It's time for us to go on vacation and learn about voodoo.
Time to learn about voodoo.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Let's go learn about
fucking
black magic.
The family would return to Miami in 1972, and his stepfather died soon after, leaving the family with some monies. As a teenager, Constanzo became apprenticed to a local sorcerer and began to practice a religion called Palo Mayombe, which involves animal sacrifice. And I looked that up. Palo Mayombe, which my tight, bearded Caucasian mouth probably mispronounced.
It'll happen.
Is a popular religion amongst the Cubans and Central African slaves and their descendants who originated from the Congo Basin.
More to know.
In case you were interested.
Yeah.
Which involves animal sacrifice. His mother was remarried, and his new stepfather was involved in the religion and drug dealing. Constanzo and his mother were arrested numerous times for minor crimes like theft, vandalism, and shoplifting. He graduated high school but was expelled from prep school. He really enjoyed doing these, what they would refer to as expensive ritual sacrifices, involving chickens, goats, snakes, zebras.
Man, what kind of fucking...
Yeah.
I want to know, because, you could look up certain, grimoires and stuff like the Lesser Keys of Solomon and the Book of Abramelin and stuff like that. And they give, detailed, this is what you need for these things to happen, right? I want to see, what the equivalent exchange for sacrificing a zebra actually equals.
Well, it's got to be something special.
Man.
But that's not the worst thing that they sacrificed.
All right, continue.
For people that have fallen in love with animals and are only triggered by animal violence because society's made them not fear human sacrifice. Lion cubs. Yeah.
Triggered.
Yeah, no shit, right? Many of his clients were rich drug dealers and hitmen who enjoyed the violence of Constanzo's, quote, magical displays. He also attracted other rich members of Mexican society, including several high-ranking corrupt policemen. Deep breathing noise.
Yeah.
Who introduced him to the city's powerful narcotics cartels. Constanzo started to raid graveyards for human bones to put in his nananga, or cauldron. Before long, his cult decided that the spirits of the dead that resides in the nananga would be stronger, providing the cult more powerful protection, with live human sacrifices instead of old bones.
Yeah.
More than 20 victims whose mutilated bodies were found in and around Mexico City. This process escalated until Constanzo eventually decided that the nananga needed more power of a brain from an American student.
Yeah.
The next step leading to the murk of Mark Kilroy.
He needed a good brain, a smart brain.
The devil was like, we need a Caucasian brain from a college student on vacation.
Make sure he's white.
Yeah. Nananga.
But, so yeah, basically when the cops showed up, they found his nananga.
Nananga. I can't stop. Those letters should not make a mouth noise.
But it basically was full of fucking bones and gross shit and a dead cat.
Imagine how fucking terrible that place smelled.
Oh my god.
Jesus, wept.
That goes back. That takes me back to our first episode where we're talking about zombie smells.
If I had control of a marketing and advertisement company, I would make commercials for Lysol, and I would use those images.
You remember those Febreze commercials they did a few years ago where they blindfold somebody? and they'd be like, it's like in a dingy room, like with some nasty shit in it, and they'd be like, What does it smell like? Oh, it smells pretty good.
It smells like a fucking Nananga in here.
Yeah, well, I think it'd be a good Halloween Febreze commercial. They're like, they have someone blindfolded and they're like, what do you smell? Well, everybody, I hope you enjoyed that clip show. It's getting close to Christmas. Make sure you're going to wash out that Nananga, Make sure you gird yourself from the Drunken Sailor. Read the Unabomber Manifesto. Go sit by the fire and read Industrial Society and Its Future. Or go pick up any book about how terrible the fucking CIA is and how they're dirty bastards.
Or the government in general.
But we're glad you've been with us for these 99, and we hope you remain with us for the next 999 or however long this goes.
Yeah.
Go check us out on Instagram or Facebook. Go check out our website. Soon that website won't be there anymore, but we will be on Podbean as a reminder. Go check out our Patreon, and we hope you have a good week.
We really appreciate it if you really did go to the Patreon, because it looks like every single worker from the Factory of Sadness is either committing suicide in some way or leaving to go to better factories. So help us out by going to patreon.com/Bones and Tubs.
Yeah.
Leave us $1. But we love you.
We really do.
It's a complete reversal. It's the last rehearsal. Call it the final revision. But don't call it religion. It's a complete upheaval, a purge of man-made evil. It's not malice or